I am so happy this topic is brought up because it's not bipolar. And I tried to push it forward actually not too long ago. And I was wondering, my curiosity to it was I know I have this, but I'm not suicidal. We don't have that issue. But sometimes you'll hear me spouting off. So we have hormonal issues, which didn't happen when I was younger, which is really interesting. So in my younger years, I never even knew when it would come. I wouldn't even feel it. I didn't have any typical symptoms that a lot of other women had. And they were kind of jealous about that. Yeah, it was weird, but I wouldn't even know. Like I didn't feel any changes. Somewhere around when I started working out, when I started doing more heavy lifting, like weightlifting, which I'm not going to blame that for it. I think it has to do more with my age, and it just so happened to be in that area because it was when I was getting older, and I started noticing right before it would come, like a couple, like maybe a week even, I would get this freaked out because I have anxiety. I would get this freaked out feeling like, like when something horrible is going to happen, like just freaked out. And then everything was freaking me out. Like I couldn't like look at a lot of negative stories because it affected me like that. And I started taking note. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, it's the pre thing before yo and yo. I'm like yo and yo starts, yo and yo. Before that starts. And so I was watching it. So I knew mentally, I was like, oh, if I start getting either very agitated or freaked out feeling or all these things. And it is weird because it could mimic what they consider bipolar, but it's not bipolar. I'm not bipolar, just saying. I'm just saying we already know what it was from. But yeah, so I went into the doctors and I was like, yeah, man, you guys got to give me something for it. Because not only does it do that, it was making my gums bleed. We had other issues. And yeah, it was doing sensitivity. I was getting massively, a lot of pain in my body, like arthritis. And they started attributing it to that. But I was like, I don't have arthritis. And it only happens in this span of time. And then it goes away. It goes away after probably about a couple days in of my cycle. And then it'll drop off. I feel it. It'll drop off even after the first day, a huge drop happens. And then I'm like, oh, relief, right? And then a couple days will go in. I may still feel funny. But then after that, it goes away for another 2 weeks. And then boom, yet again. And I started, when people are pulling out this other issue, when they're getting diagnosed with bipolar, mostly females, I was wondering if they're overlooking women's cycles. Because when I talked to the doctor, we had a total sit down with some other issue that was going on, that they explain that they don't have a lot of research in these areas because the science is misogyny, everything about it. So their conclusion and fixing of this is to prescribe birth control pills, which I said no to. I was just like, I don't need that. Don't you have something else? We're not trying to stop any of that or anything like that. So what's going on? So we're trying to actually figure out what was going on. Apparently, I guess they said, I don't know, but they're looking at it and through, I don't know, it says Reddit here. I haven't read that yet, but that's interesting. So they've been misdiagnosing a lot of things. In fact, the other tail off to this was Kim's thing with Kanye. I go, Kanye's a socio. Come on. Okay, the problem with Kanye, he may in fact be autistic. I would believe he is. He's totally off kilter half the time. All the time. And we kind of like, there's certain people I pick out. There's a reason why I pick out people. I'm picking out Ray J. I'm picking out, the Corey Feldmans, the Kevin Spacey. Like I'm directed right to these specific people for a reason. So yeah, he was coming out saying he's bipolar. I go, that dude ain't. He got socio going on. So one of the things with autism, as we've been talking about on here, is, and to be tread lightly on the topic, because I don't believe that he represents autism on its own, just flat out. He has other issues on top of autism, which maybe the problems for him to understand is because he's autistic. It could be that. So it was hard to to pull this stuff out. Same thing with Brittany. Like, I'm having some issues with her issues because I am wondering that. Here's another thing about her. Because she's getting older, and we're talking about the PMDD, that I had just been curious, thinking about that in correlation, because as I got older myself, we had some changes going on. And at some times it makes you really revved up a little bit, because I guess because of the anxiety thing of it, or the hormone, it's a hormonal change. It's a pretty bad one. And they were like, oh, you could be premenopausal. I was like, am I? I mean, everything else seems regular other than that thing right there. But, probably. But I have no idea, because they don't have discussions with the doctors. They don't. I went in, they said something weird to me. They're like, if you don't do this, then, it's very unhealthy and something bad can happen. It was really weird. It was a female topic. And so I asked her, I'm like, well, if I don't do that, then what? And then she just walked out of the room. She legit walked out of the room. I was like, I don't know how you tell some woman a personal thing like that. And then that's the only option. I don't want to do that. So what? And they don't have these conversations, you guys. It starts going into territory where it's, I don't know if it's just that they're being directed to not talk about those things because other topics are going on right now. But at the same time, no woman really even understands her body. Like, no one even knows this is even happening. We didn't even have a topic about like premenopausal nothing, or even what happens when it happens. And due to that, you go and get a diagnosis from some pig man. He's like, oh, you've been feeling that way? Oh, you've been having that? Oh, that means you have this. Totally. So as I started learning more about these, disorders and bipolar, all this stuff, I go, yeah, but that actually mimics this other female condition. So, and males have like PMS like 24/7. We don't know what the hell's going on with their hormones. They do have hormonal issues. So the science behind a lot of that stuff is just not up to par. It just is not, you guys. That's just the truth. So for him to be misdiagnosed, yeah, I'm literally not shocked. But he also has other things. They cannot chalk that up to autism. It's terrible that they're doing that. It's not. He has issues with, like, I don't know, there was like a mom thing. He's like a narcissist. He's like, just a lot of things with it. Those are the additions. That's on top of him with his, other thing. But yeah, so on this other females thing, she used to get suicidal before her period. And yeah, I could see it because it made me feel, shit. I was like, it gives me more of a freaked out feeling than anything else. And I hate the feeling. And I always have to remind myself, oh, check the date. When is it? And sometimes it'll do it mid-month, like on ovulation, like in the middle of the month, the 14-day in. Sometimes I'll have that feeling then. So it is all hormonal. So they may have completely missed the mark on those things right there. I'm not hallucinating or anything like that. I'm running out doing crazy crap. But I don't know that much about the other thing to separate it. It just seems that like maybe some people have it worse. Like this female may even have it far worse, and that's why she's feeling like that. And so these are hormonal changes, and they're just, somebody did a video. It was so funny. I had to laugh. It was like funny as hell. They're like, going through menopause, and they put some dude in a car, and he was like skidding around the corner and flipping everybody off. I go, yeah, that's about the best way to kind of throw that out there. Yeah. But I did that without that. I was like, but I would say that it does at times make me, I get a little bit even more angry. We'll put it that way. A little bit more emotionally angry. But I'm angry as it is because life sucks. But yes, thank you for bringing up the topic, Lily Reinhart, because I did not too long ago, but it's hard for me to do a comparison with another disorder when I don't know, like the deeper thing about the disorder, like how they're coming to the conclusion that it's a separate thing. And so then if I'm talking, I just sound like an idiot because they're going to sit there and be like, what are you saying? Yeah. So it happens once in a while. But so it's hard for me to say that. But some of the things that they were saying that they were experiencing, I was like, oh yeah, but they experience it with this thing here. But they didn't say, like I said, the only thing they said that they would give them is birth control and then be done with you. I go, this is absolutely atrocious from the medical field. And then they were looking at me like I was crazy when I was saying, oh, I get this symptom like every time I'm about to, like when this happens, I get this like bleeding gum thing. And they looked at me and they're like, yeah, like all my teeth used to hurt. Oh my God. It was like all these things. And yes, going to the dentist does help, but that actually doesn't stop what is happening. So it affects like every part of your body, like your joints, your muscles, and my mouth. I'm like, and my mouth, literally inside of it. But it's not pleasant. Then the other thing is, it's like, I don't need antidepressants. We need the specific for anxiety. And then now they won't give me anything. I'm like, oh, did we just seriously go backwards in time? Yeah. To the time that they're like anti-giving medical to me. I don't know, but it turned into this. It took 10 years to get a medication that worked. 10 freaking years. And we get something that works, and they are on this trip now that everybody's an addict. Everybody is not an addict, okay? Everybody's not an addict. There's a lot of people who are addicts, but they're not addicts because you gave them that medication. They're actually, as we're going more into this area, a lot of those people have problems. Like they have legit mental health issues. But like things like this right here, if you have like a medical condition like this, and then you start having feelings like this, see, this may cause her to do drugs or something like that, because it's something underlying, not necessarily from like child abuse or something like that, but it's like something underlying that nobody really knows how to treat properly. And so therefore she may do something. I'm not saying you did that, Lily, but I'm just saying as an example, like something like this, and then they may go doing drugs, you know? ADHD is a complicated one too, because it's like, yeah, they kind of miss the autistic part of people, but I can't tell you. Like when I did lay it side by side, they showed it. They're like the similarities between the two, and I was looking at it going, that would be too it's easier for me to pull the autistic person out, but if you were to say they're ADHD, I would get confused because they overlap like almost everything about it. You could have like all the same symptoms and you could be both that they said. I'm like, well, I don't know how you figure. I'm like, I don't know how you figure it because I'm looking at it. When I'm looking at people, like when I pull out a Kanye, yeah, like I would say something like, he's a socio. Like he's a socio. Like I'm pulling out the right thing. Just put it this way. Terms may never be correct, but I'm pulling out the right thing. And then as we're saying, every time I pull them out, those same people that were calling those things seem to also be on the spectrum. So I am pulling out the right thing. Like just fundamentally, I'm pulling out the right thing. I'm pulling out somebody with that genetic thing, but I'm pulling out the additions. So he has additions. So that's what's on top of it. And then what they're doing, I think, also because they're going, oh, autistic, therefore we just ignore that he's also like self-centered narcissist, blah blah blah, has these other things going on. Okay, yeah, but those are additions because they don't all have that. If they all had that, then we could just say that, but they don't all have that. And that's an environmental thing. And they keep disregarding the fundamentals of religion, which is a really big factor in this, because I just pulled up too to show people that empathy is developed through childhood, in stages. Like it pulls it up, talk about the stages of it. I don't get that in depth with it, but we know it starts up in your childhood from toddler to, from infant to, they're going into these areas of like ages 5 and 6, at this point, blah, blah, blah. And it's depending on the environmental factors and other things like genetic things like that. But I keep saying, and I'm going to stress it, and I know they're overlooking it, what they teach children about our genders at a very early age. And they do not develop empathy for a lot of things. My argument to that is they want to look into the autism as being the thing why they may be unregulated or, a little void in some areas and, things like that. I'm sure some of those things do come into play. However, they're ignoring the additions in the environment that is causing them to not even have any empathy for other people, certain people, right? So somebody else brought up, this is quite a extensive topic. So somebody else brought up, they're like, look, sexism and racism is the same together. And I go, yeah, no shit, I've been saying. I go, do you know where that comes out? What does that come out of, right? How could it be coming out of the same person, right? When you start to learn about all these mental health issues, you start to see all these causations, right? So when I see that, I go, oh, okay. So a person that would think they're the greatest thing in the universe, is a narcissist, correct? It mostly lies on a personality disorder like that, where they're so self-centered, they think they're the greatest thing on earth and God put them here to be worshipped, right? Okay. Well, a person to get to that point that they're pointing out, the rapist, the misogynist, self-centered, racist, like those things together, well, that's coming out of a narcissist. So if we see history having a mass group of narcissists, which we have, then we have to go back and learn about causation, or at least where they're at in the research. So we're looking at the research and so the general thing about the causation of a narcissist, easy enough. You can pull out your Bible and you see exactly where it is. Like they're all over that book. It's like every dude in the book, just about. But what I was saying is that in order to even get to the book part, for the book to even be made like that, they have to have been before the creation of that, because they're so self-centered, they write this crap out. So, but it has to do with dynamics, right? The dynamics, at least in part, it has to do with dynamics within the parental unit and something in the yonder and nature that happened. So we don't need to go that far back. It's just seeing, okay, so we see it right here. So we need to stop this. I mean, it's really that simple. It's all, we need to stop this. It's a mentality. Like it's a narcissist teaching other people to be narcissists, and they don't know they're becoming narcissists. I was talking about that in the cult thing, on the other cult thing. But the female narcissists are totally ignored. And then the empath is a danger to us as well, because the empath is the one. Basically, my understanding of that is it comes from a couple of factors. It could come from autism, but it also from a very unhealthy environment in childhood and child abuse. And at the end of the day, even though they act like they're empathetic towards everything and everyone. The truth is, they lie on the side of having great empathy for terrible monsters to the point of toxic. And then they enable them, and almost like a level of being naive to the point where they buy into the sociopath narcissist, which may be why they target them to begin with, to that point, because they're easily moldable and you could totally manipulate them and their emotions. They're like the most moldable individuals out here, and they're going to lean on the side of protecting the perpetrators and run us over. So they're not really that great. They're very toxic. They're bad. They're dangerous. They are dangerous. But when you hear these narcissists talking about empathy being bad, they're not talking about sanity here. They're not talking about them, because those are the ones that enable those guys. So no, they're talking about general healthy human beings that have emotions. So they were taught that they were not supposed to have emotions. And that's a sociopath. I mean, that's just downright a sociopath. I'm like, you guys created sociopaths on purpose? Yeah, apparently. And we know you can, because the government does it all the time. But yeah, so they raise them like that. And then now they started equating a serious mental health issue to being a male, which is scary. But you have to study this stuff to even see it. Like, I wasn't even studying it at the time. I was just like, I know that's a sociopath. And then I started reading a little bit further, and I've been bringing up their things, and I was like, oh, goodness. Yeah, and then you see it. You can't unsee it once you learn it. Once you learn, like, how a narcissist is created, then you see it all over the place. And then it's really annoying. And then you hear the mothers, and they keep defending themselves as good mothers. And then, like, but it's out of ignorance, you know? It's not out of, many times it's not out of a purposeful act of something. It's like they're so ignorant, and they're doing it, and then they go and enable it, and then you call it out, and then they get on to the defense, right? So you do. It's quite an area, man. I was like, I didn't know I was going to be up in here learning about every fucking mental health thing I have going under the sun. But you have to, mostly when this was going on. Because I was like, we're not bipolar, and we ain't fucking ADHD. But I would say I could see things getting confused, where they may have categorize something else as something else when it's actually related to women's health. Because again, the men that get in that field, as you see, are all like Jeffrey Epstein, you know, people. Okay. There's like a lot of things like that. So, and they used to have a biblical bias, and they still probably do, within the community. That was including in mental health, and it was included in medical science stuff. So it's hard to, when I'm seeing some of these women, I'm like, it's really hard to know everything, because I was like, well, if somebody's getting worse in a later age, what is happening in the later age? Well, for women, premenopausal things and things like that. And I'm like, is somebody acting out even worse at that time? Because it could be very correlated to that. And I don't know. You know, me, I don't know. I'm not in the field. I'm just saying, from this standpoint over here, where we know that that affects people differently. Some people far worse than others. And no, I didn't think it was normal when it was happening. I went to my doctors. I was like, holy crap, man. Like, just, I'm having all kinds of bad things from this, and their thing is to give me nothing, I guess. So at this point, we're not really forward there. I don't think antidepressants would even really fully help with this. I mean, it probably would on a point, but not in its entirety, because you're talking about, oh no, if you could get me to get out of that freaked out feeling, oh, it's a horrible feeling. I don't like it. It happens, and then I can't do anything. I literally can't do anything for about a week and something. It'll make me more susceptible to getting a panic attack. No, it's a terrible feeling, but it's all directly related to that crap. But how do we know that it isn't just caused from this for that thing? I mean, I can't tell you because it has some of the traits of those things, so I don't know. Can't tell you. Can't tell you. Um, they say this, but I have a whole different. Okay, increased anxiety, but then freaked out feeling. It's a really freaked out feeling, and physical issues. The institution adds that the exact cause of PMDD, a severe and chronic health condition, is not known. Well, I'm gonna tell you, like it happened probably at the time that I started going premenopausal or something. Something weird. It's around there. I did not always have that, not at all. Or at least I'll say it like this. At least not to my knowledge because I never knew anything was going on. And then I don't recall having pain all over my body and I would rarely get cramp. It was the craziest thing. I felt so lucky in life. Everybody's like, oh, all these horrible things. And I'm like, I never know when that shit comes. I'd be going, like, it just start, you know? It was horrible. Oh, no, yeah. You'll see me just totally go off, like, right. They're like, she's going through it, honey. It's like, yeah, I guess, yeah, it can make you feel really down. It makes me, for me, that's not the worst. That thing, you know, I was like, the thing that really gets me is the freaked out feeling. Everything starts spooking me the fuck out, and I cannot. It is like the world closing, and it's not a. It's hard to express. It's hard to explain, but it's not good. Oh, but I mean, but once you're consciously aware of it, I just go, oh, couple more days. Just let it ride, dude. Let it ride. Let it ride. Because if you don't know what it is, yeah, it could totally throw you off. But no, right away I knew it was. I don't know. I knew right away it was, and I started tracking it. Yeah. Uh huh. Yeah, up to a week, like up to a week, and then sometimes in the midpoint, sometimes in the 14th day out. There'll be like a day or two right there. Me, it's hormones. It has something to do with that. They don't know shit. They just left us all suffering because they hate women so much. Men, like men hate us so much. They're like you know, that's from God. This is from God, ladies. You're supposed to suffer because you're stupid and you ate an apple. I was like something stupid like that, but it is based on that. Just know if you guys even feel like this, just go like this. Tell yourselves this. It's just my hormones. It's gonna ride. It's gonna go away. It's just it's men's garbage. Okay, so we're just gonna ride this out because they don't want to help us out. They want us to suffer. They believe that God put us here to suffer. But you know, these crazy Catholic women that want to force everything on us, you know, because this is from God too, right? Yes, F them. But it definitely, and you should mentally like take it much lighter, like I do now, because it's like as long as I'm aware of it, it's just like, oh, okay, this moment, just write it out for some days, or we're gonna suffer. It makes the feeling just inauthentic. Really. I'm always angry though, so it's authentic. It just gives a little punch to my anger, but it is definitely yeah, the anxiety part of it is like wild because I was like questioning. I'm like, is my anxiety just 1,000% from this crap right here? Because no, but during that period right there, something happens. Something really funky happens where I don't know if I want to say fight or flight mode. It is a feeling of like the world is, it's a horrible feeling. It's like freaked out. And I know I'm not explaining it the way that you guys should hear it. It's spooked. Like whatever causes you to feel spooked, for some reason during this time period that happens. Not like paranoia. It's not paranoia. It's like spooked. Like the feeling of being spooked the fuck out. The anxiety can rev you up, and it probably is just all that combined. And it's directly related to that. So I'm going to say this, if you got a weird diagnosis for some other things, I would take a pause and take a look at this for a moment. Look at yourself and start tracking when you yourself feel that way. A lot of these people, it's hard to get them into a doctor's, but I'm dead serious. Like, pay attention to when it is, and you might want to go in for a reevaluation and make sure that you weren't told you had something that you didn't, and it's actually related to something else. I started questioning it as I'm looking through these things. I'm like, well, when we're talking Brittany and stuff, I go, but there's this other guy that acts the same way, and he was like this like serial killer, rapist dude, but he had a trigger thing, and right when they said it to them, but they went from like 0 to 1,000 just because he hates women so much. But we don't know what's directly wrong with him. Like, they show him and he changes, in that hot minute. And, there's still a lot of questions in the area, because I was like, I don't know, because it's not like, I mean, it just happened from them talking. Like, he's mad because he can't take that some woman, stopped him from doing something or whatever. And he has this like total like trigger moment. And then his whole face and demeanor, everything changed. Boom, 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 boom. And it's like, yeah, but I think that they classified that as bipolar, but I don't think they called him bipolar when he was in there. But I was like, yeah, but I wouldn't want to do that. I don't know. There's just some areas in here where I do not get into men's mental health and physical health. The doctors were straight out. They said that they didn't have all these things in their sexual health. And then same with women. Like, they had some, but it's real crappy, as you see, and they haven't done a lot of research. And or the research that they have, they don't have enough information. And how would they get the information if I just go into my doctors and say, hey, I got this problem that's happening, blah, blah, blah. And their answer to it is birth control pills. I mean, what the hell is that? But then they don't put it on anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't flag that, hey, I got this. And no, they did not say PMDD. They didn't say shit. They were trying to do this whole thing with me. Now I got concerns of breast cancer. We still have problems, okay? Now I got a problem in that side. There's this stuff, and I can't even go into the doctors right now. But they tried to say that they didn't tell me to do my mammogram because they thought I was too young. They said they kept trying to make excuses that because I look way young, that I didn't seem like I needed to do that. And I was like, that is not an excuse. In fact, all women were supposed to be checking themselves since they were in their 20s at least, or at least when we started, right? They told you to do your self-exam. But in my younger years, they said that I had some other issue and that doctors may confuse it. And then I brought it up to them. I go, are you guys confusing this thing? Because the doctors told me at the very beginning. And they said, no. Then they did this whole horrible procedure, and I need to file a complaint on it still. I filed a complaint with the people, but then this other thing. But then over the last 2 months, I started feeling weird on that side, and I never had any issues. I never felt pain, like, or anything. And so that's highly concerning right now. And, but I'm blaming the medical field for it, and I would hope that I can get somebody on it finally. I haven't been able to get him on sexual abuses on me. I haven't been able to get him on anything. I did not decline or deny to do a mammogram. It was on my doctors to do that. And then for them to turn around and be like, oh, we think you, right on the first day that you go in. And then it turned out to not be. But however, I don't know why now I'm feeling something weird on that side. That'll freak me out. So I tried to go in. And then they're like, oh, well, your medical people didn't, I guess, I don't know, it expired or something when I was supposed to go in. And then they sent me home, or I went home because they were going to take forever to try to do this. And they weren't going to okay it. So then now we got other issues where I can't even drive over there and just a number of things. And it's freaking me out, as it should. But And I mean, I don't know. It could be because of that thing that they put in me. That thing that they put in me could also be causing rashes. There was like a question to all kinds of things. I had no issues before that. They were like, we got to do this, we got to do that. You got to come back in 6 months. I'm like, you said it wasn't anything. So why is this all of a sudden now like this? You know, and then I couldn't because we're dealing with another battle. And then, yeah. And then when I came here, just, I don't know, the last 2 months, something weird on that side, feeling. And I'm just like, how do we know they didn't do it? Because they fucked up that thing. There was a lot to it, and the treatment of us in the medical community is awful. Like, for me to go through that, it's so much trauma that it's so hard for me to even go in there. It's almost like I'd rather just not even fight it. Like, even if it were, because the thing that you have to go through for all that stuff is just not. That's just not for me. It was so awful. It's like, no wonder nobody goes in. I go, I'm not even surprised. And there's a lot of women that don't know what they do for that procedure. It was awful. Whatever they did to me was what they were not supposed to do. And they do the most horrible thing to me. And then started getting bloody graphic about stuff, which you should never do. And I'm traumatized at PTSD from the incident, where every time I go into that office now, I start to about have a panic attack. And I needed medication because of it. And then that's when I found out they don't have any anymore, because they took it all off I don't know, they won't give it to us. So I have to try to change out of my medical group, because they're a pile of shit and they think everybody's a drug addict, and they keep pushing me in with all these homeless people. And I'm like, this is just ridiculous. Number one, I don't have an addiction problem. Number two, I'm not mentally ill, which, while we're on this topic, I was going to end with this, but no. We're going to go here. They told us to make up that we were totally mentally ill to have a pet in order to stay somewhere. This is LA County. So they never had a shelter. They never had anywhere you could stay temporarily. They never had any of these things. So during the fire, they threw us all in the gutter. Well, these ladies who need to be sued up the effing ass, who broke HIPAA laws, who did things by manipulation, force, and lying tactics. I never agreed to anything that I'm involved in right now. Just letting you guys know that that's a fact. It was done by manipulation, force, and also the recent thing was by a tactic saying Trump. And none of that was true. Nothing confused me more than what happened right now, because it caused my stress to go out of this world. I've never had this much stress. Like, I've had stress, but this is actually way beyond any level I've ever had. And it is for a number of reasons. So they told me to go into a doctor and tell him that I'm so mentally off kilter, I need to get a pet for emotional support in order to stay at their place. So everybody was doing this, by the way. So all this is false data from these organizations that were in tie to LA County. Where's the feds? Where are they looking at these people? I have yet to see them under the radar in this story. They are hired on through LA County, but nobody knows who they are. Nobody knows this is happening to me. The craziest part to the story is that nobody knows it's happening to me other than these people in private. And they came into my home. They've been sneaking up around, looking in my home. They went through my computer, my bank accounts, and they broke HIPAA laws. And on top of that, they did it by force and coercion with threats. And in this thing, I go to this doctor and I go, oh yeah, I need to keep my pet for emotional health support, because, to get this paper for them. They're the ones that told me to do it. So I go get the paper and I give it to them, and then they don't let me stay there. What did that do? This needs to be investigated, right? So what did that do? It comes off like I'm mentally ill. I'm not mentally ill. I rescued the pet. Everybody knows I rescued the pet. I did a video on it. I talked about how the cat was in the yard and I was trying to find a home for it. And then I ended up with the cat. And why should I get rid of a cat? Because nobody wants to let me stay with the cat. I mean, what bullshit is that? So I would have never done that because there's no reason for me to do that, to go into a doctor's office to get a notice to say that I'm off kilter and I need a fucking cat. Like, what stupid shit is that? They made me do it. So when I do that, then now it's on record that somehow I'm unstable and I need a cat. And then this data goes where? And I think it did something to okay some door for these people to rape my life. I mean, the word rape my fucking life and force me into shit I should not be in. The gaslighting from a lot of women up in here that these things never happened to me is like outrageous. I have even shown people, family members and things, of photos of me and things I've done out here, and they gaslight me and say it never happened. And I'm just like, I don't know what the F is wrong with women's brains, but it ain't this PMDD doing that. That this is just outright hate, violence on our gender because of religion, because it wouldn't happen any other way. If I tell you I had this experience, you don't gaslight me to my face and say it didn't happen or blame me for it happening. They did it. I went into the office in downtown LA, straight to their face and said, this is against my will. Well, they're mandatory reporters. They did not contact authorities. Nobody knew this was going on because the agency that I'm talking to there, they're claiming they don't know who the hell those hags are. Even right now, they told me that they think that they are scammers. And I go, no, they're actually in tie with LA County and they're being funded by very rich, an heiress, a female heiress, because they wanted to fling the name out. They are being funded by a lot of rich people. But this is where their money's going, and force me into getting a shot by a threat, by saying Trump is going to not let me move anywhere. It was so crazy, you guys. And they were not even supposed to be talking to me. They already were told to not contact me and do not contact. They contacted me and told me, because the fires were going on, they told me they have listings that the public does not have. And so they trapped me there because I was having issues finding a rental because of the fire situation. Because I just started looking, and then the fire happened, and I'm like, I gotta get out, I gotta move, but I gotta make sure I do this legally right because the guy owes me money. So I'm owed $2,000 and something from just the deposit, but I'm technically owed money for 7 years of paying rent. Because they had a scheme within LA County to throw people into illegal properties. This is so damn serious. I cannot believe this has not been investigated. And in tie with that is the other agency that's pretending to not know about these people. Well, they're the ones that okayed it as well. And they try to throw it off onto BNS. Well, BNS had nothing to do with that. They knowingly put people into dangerous housing with criminals. And I'm so outraged by this. Because it was for 7 years and I was trying to leave and I said, you guys are lying. This place is criminal. This, that, the other. Then they took it that I'm nuts. And I go, I have had it. I have had it with these women. These piece of shit Christian women in tie with LA County. Doing criminal conduct, pocketing money, throwing people out into dangerous housing. I cannot believe the bullshit of that other place. Mostly talking with building and safety. Because they're like, you're lucky, he's lucky, nobody died here. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. He disappears for a year and he took the money out of the country, and the doctor guy already had a whatchamacallit, a raid from the authorities. And then the cops are just helping them out. The cops were helping them out. We seen them help them out. They were in tie together. There were several groups of them that were. It was not every single one of them that were on the property. It was groups of them that were in tie together trying to help him commit crimes. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I tried to report it to the LAPD's internal, and you have a gang member inside of there. Well, I can't get around gang members, LA County. If you want to have gang members up in here, then you know you do, because there's no way around that you don't know that there was gang members here. If I cannot get them to pull the cam, you have a gang member there. And he said he was hired during Rampart time. I am not having this crap, you know? And then just the other day, right over by our house where I was living, it's scary, okay? Right down the street, around the corner, these three homies go and kill this female singer. Did you guys see that in the media? That was around the corner from our house where we used to live. These LAPD officers tried to tell me there's no gangs in the area. They're just what do they say? Tag crews. And I'm like, now in my case, it wasn't relevant because they were trying to push it off that it was these gang members. And I go, it is not gang members doing this shit to me. It was a different story. But when we were outside, there was a number of things going on. And I just pointed it out to him. I go, well, that thing right there is totally that. But the relation to that and me, there's nothing. So it doesn't make any sense. But he's like, no, there's no gangs in this area. Everybody here works. He starts talking down to me like I'm a loser or something. I don't know. It's weird. He's like, everybody here works. And I'm like, that's unlikely because most of the neighbors are like elderly, retired, don't work. And then there's these young idiots that are running around here doing shit all over the place. But anyways, that doesn't make sense. And plus it's a college area. So a lot of the college students, their parents are paying for them to stay there, and then they go to the Northridge. So for some reason, he wanted to pile off to me. There ain't no crime in this area. There ain't no gangs. Okay, so we know this is a gangbanger cop. His name was Jose Torres. So the cops that are part of that shit are Hispanic. And I want to keep that out there because a lot of the cops that were on these videos, there was a Hispanic guy, and then the other two were older white dudes. I don't even get that one. They were overweight, white, older dudes, and they did a blind eye and said it was okay for men to break into your home to one of the other females. And I was like, wow. Those are some two old school dudes right there. I don't know who those two are. The girl got the cards and stuff for these other ones. And so I have the names of the other ones, and they're Hispanic. But those two, I'm not sure. I think I do have it, but I'm not sure. So, for an officer to tell me and deny reality, they're involved. You're going to tell me a cop is going to deny that there's a bunch of gangbangers out here? I mean, that's just stupid. Okay, so this is, and it's not, like I said, it's not relevant to my story, but he was trying to lead it there at first. He was trying to go, oh, maybe BD tag crew, the dude be, doing some shit to you, something. And I go, I'm almost 1,000% sure they didn't call the city to try to tow my cars. And I'm almost certain that they would trash my car or steal it for a male-dominated crime like that. Those guys do that. So down the street, actually, later, not related to me at all, nothing. Some off-kilter dudes went and trashed up all the cars down the street. They broke the windows. They put MS-13 on the, we know it's not, that probably wasn't MS-13, but they put it on their cars across the whole thing. And they were trying to tell us that, like, oh, that doesn't exist here. And then later, then somebody else was like covering up like a graffiti thing. And then they killed those guys. And again, they want to tell us they're not out there. And it's like, well, they are, because every weekend, the break-ins when you're in the home, yeah, home invasions. So they started doing these home invasions like out in the area, and luckily our place would confuse them so bad when we were over there, so we weren't too concerned. But I have a cam, so I'm watching, and I'm there 24/7. So no, they didn't mess with anything on our end over there. No, it was nothing to do with them right there. That's why it was so crazy, because they're sitting there playing this game with me, like, oh, it could be them, and then, oh, they don't exist. It's just this weird game. And then what I was seeing was the cops. So the cops were doing criminal conduct. So now I put it together, because I go, oh, yeah, because this guy's a criminal. They're helping the criminal out. And then they're trying to play a denial game that there's no gangs out. It's just weird. I was like, yeah, it's just them. They're just protecting their house and their people over there. And then, so can you explain the news to us, how these three homies go murder this girl? The reason why they murdered the girl was because they wanted to rob them. But that's what's happening, dude. The area is so bad. Like, it started getting really bad. It was bad. It was bad. It's bad because the officers that are in gangs are the ones that are allowing it to happen, because they mingle with them. So they've used that as a front that they're trying to get along with the community. That's actually not what's going on. It's actually pretty worse. And so when I was trying to get them all investigated, they warded it off. So we all know they warded it off. Unfortunately, the female that is talking about it refuses to give an acknowledgement to the crimes that they did on women. And they do not just do shooting crimes. They do financial crimes. They do rapes. They do extortion, just different things like that. That's their main area. Leaking information, throwing people on the street, what do they do? Okay, so they go into communities and get payola from the businesses. They so these are the police officers, the gangs there. So that's the problem. It isn't, oh, the street has all these things going on. Well, it's like that because the gang member the cops. So I was like, yeah, I was like, I try to explain this to people, but they think they've heard the topic, but they actually haven't. What they've heard about is the stories like George Floyd, or, when they're talking about officers shooting people, or, profiling targets. Yeah, but you're not talking about gang member cops. That's a separate topic. They try to pretend that they were all talking about it. They actually were not. They were not. I was. And I saw nobody else talking about it in a real life sense. Like, they have a gang. I didn't know the gang name. I just knew it was a gang, because we know what gangs look like. I mean, you see a bunch of guys hanging out together. You see gangs in churches. I mean, you see them everywhere. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I don't know the name of them, so I'm going to give them a name, but we need to talk about them. And they did this thing to us, right? So I'm a victim of an act, okay, from these people. So I was like, yeah, I don't know, but nobody, they were too busy doing the Black Lives Matter thing, which it does matter, but that's not the same topic. It's just not. You're talking about you're talking about injustices on a racial group, and particularly only men. That's not the topic of gangs inside law enforcement. That's a different thing. They may be included in doing those shootings, but that's a separate topic. So they were not. And the female that keeps talking about it is pissing me off, because I'm like, so the whole time you keep turning it into a racial thing. The fact that you're turning it to only a racial thing is showing how much you don't know. And Did anybody tell me to show up at a meeting to tell them what's actually going on? I'm the one that's been talking. I'm the one that went to FBI. I'm the one that went to the agencies, to DOJ. She running me over. So I ain't going to have it with any damn woman up in here going on like that. Because I suffered through it. She only found out about it in 2014. I knew about it since 2001. And there's a lot in the community that may have known about it because there obviously was some write-up about it in the past. But nobody was out here going, the executioners, the grim reapers, the cavemen, that shit. I didn't see none of that. And if they knew that, then they would have told me, because I outed several of those gang members. But I didn't know the other group was the other gang. So I was like, but I got to fling it out here because they did some horrible thing here. So I go to FBI. So why would I go to FBI? So because we cannot, even if I did a investigation, not go at it because they were blocking me. They're the ones harming me. So I can't do anything. So I'm looking for the external agency to go and investigate them. I couldn't tell FBI, oh, they're a bunch of gangbangers, because in order for me to do that, I need to prove that they were in a gang. I mean, I could sit there and tell them, I suspect they are gang members, but the point was, it's like, they did all these horrible things. And included is celebrity pedophiles. Included is my father. Included, ba. But then at the end of the day, then they didn't do anything. So that's a question you guys need to have as to why that went on. Those things are directly related to Jeffrey Epstein, directly related to all these celebrities, directly related to everybody. I'm just like, yeah, every time these women are like, I went into the cops and they said this, I go, oh, they're gaslighting you. They're into rape. I mean, that's all it is. And so I'm just like, I can't get that message through to people. It isn't that they didn't believe you. It's that they're a bunch of criminals. They make you feel stupid. And I try to stop women from saying it, man. I was like, no, wait, because it came together, right? Because I was like, I go in all the time to them. I had reported almost every single crime that happened to me. Most of them I did. But, every time I do, they make some excuse for the guy choking me. They make some excuse for this guy trying to break in my home. And I caught them promoting men to break into your home. And I'm just like, that is the shit right there. That is it right there. And then I try to get them to look at the cams because they did that. And they will not have anything of it. They're just like, I would have done that to myself. And I'm like, yeah, and you should have been fired a long time ago in 97. Why are you in the department? Why are you still there? Why are you still there? He's Hispanic. So I didn't even think to look for that at the time. I go, oh, here we go with the investigation again, because I was not looking for Hispanic men. What I was looking for were, who are these men just generally? They were white, at least mostly in my point of view. But no, when I relooked, there was a group of Hispanic. And I go, oh, that is actually relevant. So, because they brought up the banditos. And I go, oh, shit. I wasn't aware of that branch off, the one in East LA. But I had to talk to them. And they outed me. And I go, oh, it makes sense why they outed me now, the female. Because they're gang members. And so when I was talking to her, she's like, ain't nobody lost their badge. Ain't nobody. And I'm just like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on here. Oh, and then they just arrested a cop for stealing money from all these people he was stopping. And how come the cops didn't get arrested in our case? They used something as a cover, is what they did in our case. And I'm sitting here going, I would never, under any circumstance, ever pay an officer out of my vehicle. And I told them no. And two, I am not carrying $1,000 on me in 1996, or 97, and in the middle of the night, which is equivalent to like $4,000 today. He's like expecting me to carry $4,000 on me in the middle of the desert. And so because I didn't pay the payola, they took my top off and took a photo. They did an illegal search on my vehicle. They did all kinds of shit. So I put it out here to the public finally, because I told the celebrity camp, but I put it out into the public finally about the story. And at no time did I see the feds go in there or even investigate that. Okay, that thing was reported in 20. I came out about that a long time ago. And then when I went to go try to investigate it, they knew I was trying to investigate it. And everything's transparent here, right? And it's supposed to be transparent. Even with the officers, it's supposed to be transparent. So nobody should be doing sneaky ass shit, in the background, because then you get caught. Well, they get caught by like not answering the phone now, after making threats to me. So now they don't want to answer the phone. Everybody's giving wrong numbers. And then the Dems go and give a whole bunch of money over there. I go, oh, I see what's going on now. I see what's going on now. Yeah, I started to see through their bullshit, because you gotta explain this. Why are you gonna go give millions of dollars to somebody in a city? It's a tiny city. It literally has like less than 100 people or something, where they did this corruption on the public, and you're gonna go give them money and not make arrests? Does that make sense? And the Republicans were pointing it out, actually, to my I mean, it caught my attention. I don't know if they knew the story, the backstory on our side, but they were pulling out some bullshit from over there, and I go, what? Yeah, I didn't know. And I was looking at that, and I go, yeah, that looks peculiar, and that's probably the excuse as to why they didn't do anything, because they're criminals. And yeah, so they're into, raping some women and, trying to haggle them for money and making threats and saying it's forever, and they're going to kidnap me and hold me for weeks, and then they go hand them millions of dollars. I would like the explanation to this, because they try to say that's not that this the other. No, they're full of shit. So then when I try to call them, because FBI said you gotta go locally. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm stuck going to Nevada too, because that's part of the case. So I'm trying to call them. Now I'm trying to call them. They already made a threat to me prior to me contacting the FBI. They made the threat to me, I believe, in about 2011. That it was going to be forever. I asked them, I go, when's this thing going to, go away? You know what I mean? Because, whatever. And they said it was going to be forever. And then they wanted $2,000 at that point. So they wanted I think it was $2,000, something. And I'm like, I'm not giving these pieces of shit a dime. Because the way that you fight a case is you go into court and you decline that anything was, whatever. This is all based around me not paying the money out of my vehicle. And it's illegal. The fact that Nevada, like I said, the Las Vegas was like, well, I guess it could happen if they think you're going to take off and not. I'm like, oh no, honey, I'm literally 4 hours away. If there was an issue, I would make sure I go there. I have no problem driving there, but this is not what it's about. This is about some cartel-y actions from your damn officers. But she admitted she had knowledge that they were corrupt. That was the lovely thing about it. I was like, she's like, oh, from my understanding, they cleaned it all up. I was like, oh, okay. So you have knowledge that there was corruption there. Okay. But they didn't clean it all up. That's the wonderful thing about that too. But anyway, she's sharing with me that she has knowledge that she knows they were corrupt. So it just validates my story. It's just saying. So it was a wonderful thing, talking to officers, because they tell me, they don't know what's going on. She's not even over there, but they don't know what's going on. And they're just like, oh yeah, we all knew they were corrupt or something. up in here, but the public doesn't seem to. When I posted about Scott Moss, did a single person call him out as being a gangbanger? Nobody. Scott Moss is a gang member, and we believe he was part of the Cavemen. And that was when I got targeted big time on Twitter, because I was dragging him to hell because I was there, right? Like, I'm aware of the group of men. And this isn't by opinion. This is by my real own personal experience. And so when I go to report to agencies, in order for me to say that someone's a gang member, I need to prove that they actually are part of a gang. Like, I could think it all day long. I gave them a gang name. So that was in public prior to me contacting the feds. So when I seen them in their conduct here, it was obvious they were part of some type of organized crime group. It was very obvious. But at that point, the investigation needs to be done for them to discover that. That's not for me to do. Unless they want to pay me $400 an hour to do it and give me protection to do it, I will go do it. But instead, if they made me go do it, they did make me go do it. So they made me go and try to go to them, as we were expressing. We can't go to them because they're gang members. I told 211, 311, whatever that damn number is. I told them. I told every agency you guys could even think of. We can't go to them because they are involved. And the response that was given every time this was mentioned was, you need to go to the cops. Like a disregard. They're disregarding my reality and the reality that is at hand. So right now they're faking it up in here, pretending they don't know. That's false. That is categorically false, because I've spoken to all these agencies. So the agencies were telling me I need to go to the cops. Like, they disregarded that I said, this is going on, XYZ. We can't go to them because they're involved. And they go to that. You need to go to the cops. That's what they kept saying. So they would overtalk me and tell me I need to go to the cops. So they're full of shit. So don't buy into the garbage, because I spoke to every agency known to mankind and other private organizations, and the same thing was occurring. And they're falsifying information to you, the public. It's just a fact. I'm a victim of it, so I think I would know. Like, I'm trying to get somebody to do something, and they were doing this. So every time I keep mentioning it, and even prior with the women that I'm talking about, these piles of shit that came in, I told them from day one that was going on. I told Red Cross that was even going on. Red Cross decided to disregard the facts and have them there over me. And I'm like, well, you need to make sure that I'm protected. I mean, I'm safer standing in the middle of a fire than the bullshit that's happening here. So they had these Catholic, people come in and make excuses for them. Oh, maybe these were accidents that they left you in a fire. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, lady, my point of view and what's at hand right now. They are under investigation. Do you want to see the paperwork? It's in my vehicle right now. I'm more than happy to share that with the media, because it needs to be transparent. Like, it needs to be in the public. And so I'm not bothered, because I'm not the criminal. But they need to put that information forward when they get it. What did they do here? They did everything to cover the story. Cover up the story. I talked to Wes. Wes is a journalist. Wes the journalist. I told him this shit that was going on. So he has the knowledge. Is he going to at least back it up? He didn't put it out in the public, but he could back it up that I told him these things were happening, and he was going to transfer me to another journalist that deals with the police topic. So then that didn't happen. So I'm saying that they just wiped out these stories, and I go, I don't even know what the hell. Do I think he did so? Do I think he's this vindictive, evil person? I can't tell you what the hell's going on with that person. He seemed fine talking to me and everything else. It just may be that the topic is too above him. Like, I mean, he's not capable of tackling that. Okay. So then you refer me, and I talked to another journalist even looking for him not too long ago, and yeah, like they're kind of like this, little network of people, and nobody contacted me back. We had a new story and revolving around these officers, and something of the county now putting us in an illegal place. Now, Wes knows my story, the journalist, so he could verify where I was at initially because we talked at the Red Cross. Then, from that point, we end up in this illegal dark hole of shit. Well, he should have kept up with the story. I mean, in my opinion, if I catch a story like that, I'm going to keep up with it to see what happened at the end of it. But they didn't. And they didn't tell the public that they gave gutter maps, which he knew about at that point because I'm talking to him at the worst part of it. And I don't know. You'd have to ask him questions. I could have my personal opinions about it. He's going to have his version of it. But the other lady purposely manipulated the story and put it in the public and left that out. I did not okay that. So I could sue you. I did not okay that. I did not okay to do an interview and out my name, a victim, a child victim. To put that story in the media without it having the cop portion. I said, if you do that to me, you have to put this thing in there. I told her straight up. I go, yeah, but you can't out my name because it puts me in danger. So if you do that, then you need to make sure that you put that out there. So in case something bad does happen to me, everybody knows who to look at. Well, she goes and outs me, the victim, in the middle of investigations. We were in the middle of investigating, so it's not even over. We're like in the middle of investigating, and this is before they even threw me in the gutter. So this is before that action happened. Maybe you guys need to know that. So it was before the action happened of LAPD giving me the gutter map. So she got told the story, and I said, you have to put that out there because you're outing my name. She outs my name. LAPD comes back because they were there all night long. Then they give me this paper and they kicked us all out. And I go, wow, they did this, LA County? Yeah. And then they send us over to this thing. Now she's out of the picture, exposes me to gang members. I'm in the worst position possible to deal with this shit. Like, literally. And my lawyer's being a pile of shit. And he's hitting on me. He's talking about taking himself out because he's depressed. Yes, it was awful. And I'm like, I cannot deal with this. What is this shit? I would normally fire this guy and get a new lawyer, but I can't. I'm not in the position to do it. So I'm asking for help. I'm like, can somebody help me get a new lawyer? Can somebody help me get another lawyer? Can somebody help me? Can somebody help me? No, they just disregarded me like I'm a crazy person making shit up. And I go, wow, that is where it's at. So they need to be honest that they treated me like shit and they were treating me like a crazy person and like it's all made up. And then they're getting slapped in the face and they're leaving me out of the story because they're going to get dragged by me, as they should. These people who are talking about the story right now did not investigate it. These people are talking so much shit they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. They were not here. They didn't see it. They didn't experience it as a child. They don't know shit. They're just reporting something. Why didn't you report it when I was talking initially? Can you explain to me? Were you treating me like a crazy person? Tell me. Because that's where it's at. It ain't that they didn't know. Oh, and so I don't forget. So they snuck a woman in here without my knowledge and manipulated some lady to come here with the other lady from that organization to tell me and make threats that I can't mention FBI again or anything that they did to me in the past. And it's like, no, that's just not going to happen, ladies. So I just want the public to know what they did. Yeah, they sent me a text. They're like, can I come over? And I thought they were going to do something and situate the thing with the landlord or something like that. No. And they didn't tell me they were bringing somebody else with them. And they had her behind her at the door. So when I opened the door, they just both came in my house. Do you think this sounds even legal? This conduct right here that they're doing? And then she started texting me stuff, and I just finally blocked her because I don't want these people in my life. They have destroyed my life. No, there's no help. Okay, there was never any help. We shouldn't even still be in the same situation from the time of the investigations to now. And I see what they did here. Oh my God, there's actually more in the story because the people here were rounded up from 7 years ago. I seen them at these are the real down and out, the people that were doing drugs and they're out on the street because they have major mental health issues. And it appears that the same organization got in tie with these other people. Okay, it's like a long story, but they were in tie with after the fire because the people from the fire tossed us over to this other thing. And in the middle of that is where this all happened. And while I was there, I had a lot of questions for these people, like what the hell was going on? Well, they rounded those people up and they specifically threw them into some stuff here. And I have a very good memory because we're not on drugs and we're investigating stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that. It said people, blah, 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 blah. Well, said person just was drunk and crashed into my vehicle in a parking lot. And said person does not have insurance. Said person was seen out on the street roaming with a bunch of crackheads and drunks and everything else from this point in time. So they were not related to us in the fire at all. Nothing. And I was looking, I go, is this real? It's like a bad nightmare, like coming back. While unfortunately, a lot of people are in these positions not related to that situation. There was a group of them that are the ones that you are seeing in the open, and that's who they started doing stuff with. That's why they started treating me like I'm a scrounge, like I go into the garbage and I have AIDS. So they asked me if I had AIDS for the purpose of breaking HIPAA laws so they can discriminate against people moving anywhere. So they told me flat out, this is the organization in tie with LA County. So they were obtaining this information, so therefore they need to be investigated because they were breaking major laws, and this was very important for the LGBTQ community. And so I had demanded them to give me those documents, and they wanted to play a shit game with me and also not answer their phones. I have texts about this where they stopped responding. They then in turn, about a year later after that, sent me a portion. They sent me like 100 and some, maybe 25 documents. I signed far more documents than that by force. This is by lure and coercion and force. So this is not in a way that you may think. So it's done by coercion and force, and that I have to do it. So they continually tell me to my face that I have to do it. They said that they have to do it and I have to deal with them. But then at the same time, you guys, they make threats of cutting me off. This is the weirdest thing ever. But the threats are to make me homeless and lie and scheme saying they're going to help me with XYZ, but not this situation. We weren't asking for this. So I said, I need this, I need that. Okay, yeah. So we need you to sign all these papers first, and then we'll help you with this, right? So that's what they do. So then I sign all that, and they get you to the next point. And then they turn around and they go, well, we're not going to help you out unless you go into a doctor and get a shot because we think you're diseased. That's a big fuck you. And what if I'm against vaccinations? I don't like these people that are against vaccinations. But first of all, nobody should be forcing me to get vaccines that are not even my doctor. And so they started doing that. Then they wanted access to my medical files. And I keep trying to get them to give me that paperwork, but they didn't send those particulars. So they're holding back because they know they broke the laws. And so then therefore, then the feds need to go in for them. But they're taking the donors' money. So another situation where it was totally asinine, where they're blowing donors' monies. So the money that they get are from multi-millionaires. And one, we already said the female's name, that she has a lot of money and she's spouting off right now how hard she worked. Okay. Well, there was a situation here where, because of the setup on me, I was having difficulty paying things. So my lawyer fucked me over. So we need to sue my lawyer. And it's hard to obtain a lawyer to go sue another lawyer, mostly even if you have a lot of money. So, and I need a lawyer for this additional abuse that happened to me right here. So they claimed they were going to help me out. They were going to help me get some referrals. And they keep coming back saying legal aid. I go, legal aid doesn't deal with that. Sorry, kids. I said, do not do that to me. I'm not stupid. We obtained this lawyer. So obviously I had lawyers since I was a kid. So it shouldn't be this hard, but there are some actions here that are happening where it's making it difficult. And I need to be able to sit down to be able to call them and find the proper listings and the proper people to get a hold of to take the case, and blah, blah, blah. And that takes time. It takes a lot of time because they want a lot of information. I can't just go to a lawyer and say, hey, they did this to me. They're like, okay, can we prove it? Yeah. So there's a lot to that. So anyway, I was telling them and they lied, schemed, didn't do it, got me into a next step, and then pushed me into all these illegal places. It was supposed to be temporary because we were in the fire and then we're in the lawsuit. And so we're all like, we just need a temporary situation because I'm supposed to get 6 figures, man. So I can't be like getting, assistance in the middle of this. And then they keep trying to get my money. They want part of my money. And so my lawyer's trying to get that to get avoided. There's a whole thing into it. Anyway, legal shit. So after the lawyer thing happened, the whole corrupt thing with the lawyer, I had some difficulty. I had to pull money from my bank and I owed him like $200 or something. It was a really stupid amount, but I was so strapped because look, they literally effed up my life for that whole year. And we never fully regained my life back. And then now I have health issues because they did that to me. It's the most unhealthy thing you could ever do to a human. And I was never the same. Like, I didn't even look the same. I hadn't seen myself in like a year in a mirror. And it's depressing because they did that to me on purpose to fling hate at me and try to make me seem like I was a dirtball and a terrible human. And they let men rape me and celebrities cover it up. And that's really the truth of the story. And that's why they're getting investigated, along with other criminal acts from other individuals and a drug ring that was going on that they covered up. So, which was related to Michael Jackson's friends. That's just the truth of the story. Why did they cover that up? Again, investigations, right? So I needed to pay this $200 and I'm freaking out because I run a business. So they, obviously they think I'm just chirping off. I don't run businesses. I'm a loser. I just make up shit because, I'm a nutcase like the rest of the people they deal with. And that's wrong to say because a lot of those people were not nutcases. There are some nutcases in the middle of it for sure, but that's not everybody out here. So nobody should be treated like that generally. So in the middle of this, I was trying to figure out how to get $200 to cover the bank because it was threatening me. And they told me I only had like a certain amount of days. And I was freaking out and it was going past that date. So I got into a predatory loan. So now obviously I have something I can use as credit, to get a predatory loan. But I thought that was my only option. So they wouldn't do anything less than $2,000 and something, which I didn't even want to do that, you guys. I'm like, I just need $200 to pay my fucking bank, but I don't know what else to do. And I told them, okay, I told the agency, okay, they got donors. They got a lot of rich donors. So can you answer me this? Why wouldn't they just give me the $200 to pay my bank? They could go directly to my bank and pay it, like without me if they don't think it's real. Okay, so they didn't pay it, okay? So they didn't help me there. It's not an expectation that they would help me there, but if you're going to help somebody why wouldn't you do the $200? So now here's what happened. And where you're going to see the money getting blown is a crazy thing. So I get this predatory loan, and the predatory company starts chasing me everywhere, saying they put out some type of radar to look for me, and it's freaking me out. And I was having to pay like $200 something a month to pay them off, right? It was insane. It was like a high amount for me at the time. So I had to pay them $200 something. And every time I paid, the money wouldn't go down. Like the loan kept staying at this high amount. I go, am I ever going to be able to pay this off? Yeah, because, well, what happened was they have a high interest rate, right? Then they were tacking on late fees. So then it kept going up more. It was insane. And I go, there's no win to this. They're trying to steal my car. And my car's paid outright. And And so I wouldn't even leave. I was like, I'm not leaving my house. These pieces of shit, if they come up in here, it's going to be on. And so I told them, I go, the stress, I can't stop it. And then I didn't even read. Now, this is my fault because I didn't even see how much it would have been if I paid off the whole total for the entire span of this thing. So I only got $2,000 and something for a loan. I think it was like $2,300 or something. At the end of the loan, it was supposed to be $8,000 and something that I paid, but that's not including the late fees they started tacking on. So it was coming out to be like 10 grand, like paying for my car 10 times over. It was insane. So I was like, no way. This is such a scam and I need to get out of it and I don't know how. And so I tell them, finally, they get some donor to fork out the money to cover that loan. Does it make any sense, you guys, that somebody didn't just help me out with the $200? Instead, they go blow some rich guy's money to pay off this like $2,500 loan thing that was going on? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. They put me through hell when it could have just been taken care of that way, or maybe even just talking more with my bank. But I'm the one that chose to go get the loan because I didn't know of any other options to do. So, you know, kind of goes over here. But if you were going to help out, why wouldn't you have just done the 200 instead of blowing some rich person's money for whatever grand it was? I forgot what it was. It was like 20 something, 2,500 or something. So I was like, this doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, it pissed me off. Like, the whole situation pissed me off because I went through hell for something that they could have just paid $200. If they were going to help me out at all on it, why didn't they do it earlier? So then it caused me to get bad credit, and then it went into this thing. So it wasn't help at all, you guys. It's like this situation where it's like, if you were going to help somebody, you should have helped them at the very get-go. Now that you didn't, you blow somebody else's, it's not their money. So it's easy for them to do some bullshit like that. And then turn around and now my credit's effed up. So now I have to do this whole scheme of trying to get my credit back up. And it made me lose a credit card. I had there was so much in it. I was like, no way. I built my business up for 20 years. I worked really hard to get my credit to where it was at. It takes a long time to get it built back up. And it only takes overnight to F the entire thing up. That's how shitty the credit thing is, just generally. I think it's totally fucked that can even happen. But I'm in a hardship that's not my fault. I'm in a hardship from other people's conduct on me, and which is LA counties and these rich guys. So why should I have to pay and have my life destroyed because all these idiots in the story? And it shouldn't have happened. And I shouldn't have been low on money as we're in a lawsuit for 2 effing years and me suffering through it and my business getting harmed. So that's where, these types of things come from. So that's a waste of money. It just was. I mean, let's just be real. It shouldn't even happen. They should have covered, if they were going to help me, they should have helped cover that 200. And then we wouldn't have been, that person wouldn't be out so much money. Whoever was, helping out in that. It was some male. They told me it was a male. It wasn't the heiress. She would sit there and wipe her butt with her money in my face. No, it was really weird. It was weird that they named her. Okay, so here's another thing about it. Besides any personal or whatever thing in her in the public, it's the problem I had with it too is that if I'm a donor, why are they telling people that I'm donating money to them? it's like a personal thing. Like she did that in private. So I flung it out to the public because if it was me on the opposite end, I would be mad. That's just me, but I would be mad. And then, it's just the mindset to it. Like they do it to bully. Like the whole situation is set up by these rich women and men. And then they push me in a position of that and then come in like a hero. But yet they're not a hero. You see where they're effing up all over the place. It just doesn't make any sense. So then but the money went into illegal housing. So her money and this other rich guy's money, I don't know who the guy is. They may have told me, they kind of described him to me, but I don't know who he is. But he doesn't know how his money is being used. He needs to know how his money is being used. So on top of that, what I'm saying there, the money is being used to fund criminals, and it was going to criminals. It was going to illegal housing. And the guy that they gave it to is a special inspector. So he knew how to play with the law right there a little bit by getting the main permit. So what he did was he got the main permit to get the build to come out into the back. So like when, if the BNS came by and they seen the house being extended, they're not going to shut it down. They're just like, oh, you got a permit for that. Then he got a permit for the back house to be built into a rental. However, neither one of these builds were finished nor okay to be built into rentals by the end. So at the end, they need to have a final inspection of the back unit. And then he has to pay $2,500. It was like a huge amount. Like the permit's pretty big, but it's worth it if you have like $1 million property, which we were on. So if you have $1 million property and you build a generating income in the back, then $2,500 is totally great, because now you just up the income of your property and it's going to bring in income, right? He wants to skirt around the laws because he's a special inspector and he knows how to do that. So he didn't do that. And so when the BNS came, they're like, how funny. He gets the permit to the extension. He also got the permit to start a build, but he never finished it. And none of these places are supposed to be rented out like this. And we cannot give a permit to the front house in that way at all. The only way he can make it legal, they totally explained this to me, that in fine detail, to make that front house legal, they have to open up all the doors, all the walls to the front main house. And they could have one ADU rental in the back, inside the front house, but they have to live there. Like the owners have to live there in the front. It's really weird. So they have to live there in the front. They have to open up all the rooms, the doors and everything to all the other ones. And they can only have one separate ADU, but it has to have a full kitchen. None of them had a full kitchen. None of them had a kitchen in the back. And it was split off into 4 rentals, which it was too small to be 4 rentals as is. And he's like, he can't have this, he can't have that. What the hell? Like, he was like, oh, And I go, yeah. And we had 4 inspectors there from the other agency. So there's another agency that was in tie with the BNS, but they tried to say it was BNS's fault, and it wasn't. And it wasn't BNS doing the early inspection. It was the other agency. And so they kept coming in. And they're like, this place looks illegal. Like, they even said it, like, not outright illegal. They're like, this looks not right. And we're going to have to go back to the office and check it out. And then somebody at their office is passing it off. So I confront the lady through an email, chewing them the F out. Because she was ignoring me. She wouldn't let me move. They wouldn't let me move. Like, there's a whole thing to this. Like, in this, like, it was supposed to be a temporary setup. Then they did they forced and lied and lured and trapped. And then they said that if you don't get involved with these people, they're going to make me homeless. I'm like, wait a minute. This whole time I'm waiting for a lawyer. I need legal. I can't agree to anything going on right now because I don't. And then they forced me to go over there. Otherwise, they were going to throw me on the street. So I'm like, wow, okay, so I don't have a lawyer right now. You didn't help me get one. I'm trying. My other lawyer just screwed me out of funds. I'm trying to figure out what to do here because I'm trying to save my business. there's so much going on. I got to save my business. And then I got all these other jerk offs going off. And then people trashing my cars and saying fuck you to me on my vehicle and the cops covering it up. And I mean, we have a long list of things going on. It isn't, oh, let me just deal with this. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what the hell FBI did right here and what the hell just happened right here. And why do I have additional investigations now I have to do? Because I thought I was done with the LAPD portion, but I wasn't. And then now I have Riverside. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Now I got to go and shoot off this thing over there. So I finally call the state attorney. You know, I call the state attorney and they're just like, we hear you about the gang member cops. This is the state attorney. So them coming out here right now lying their ass off. No. They go, we hear you, but you need to go at him again. And I'm like, gee, I don't think you understand something. Well, that's just our process. Okay, now we're going to stick to the process, but that doesn't mean they didn't know. Okay. So then they go, well, there's this other agency related to the state attorney's office that helps victims. Oh, Lordy. We don't have nothing. Okay, I don't know why they want to transfer me to this jacked off thing that's related to the state attorney's office for victims, but that thing is a pile of shit. If you don't have help for everyone, you just need to not exist. Okay, I don't know what the hell that was, but yeah, they pawned me off to... It's garbage. We don't need that. We need legal. We need people getting thrown in jail. We need this to stop. We need all of that. This is an ongoing problem where anywhere I move, the gang members are coming after me. Like, it is just ridiculous. So, and then putting me in positions where I can't pay my bills, which is the tail off for the gang members to use as a cover when they come and make their targets on me. And I've explained this about 1,000,000 times over, how they use the system to do it. And that was what they did. So to throw me out on the street is to give me no credibility. These shithole people trashing me to hell. And I'm trying to tell people, I go, I had money. I don't know where they're saying I didn't have money. I never got government anything. Do you see? My hair costs money. My recordings cost money. I'm around celebrity assholes that are forcing me to pay for this shit. Normally their record labels do. And I'm paying out the ass to a bunch of dickwads. And they're going to sit there and treat me like shit and nothing ever happened and I'm making shit up. They can go suck. You know what I mean? There's a lot to this. A lot to this. And they did it when I was with the celebrities. They did it at least 2 times that we have on record that these stupid idiots, the one came in my house with guns and I had to get their lawyer in the story. So they want to pull in the lawyer. They ain't coming after me with lawyers, that team. No way. No way. Because their lawyer's going to get dragged unless he passes away. But I don't know where he is. He's pretty old too. But no, they were going to drag him in because he has knowledge of that. It is in everybody's best interest on that celebrity side to not say a goddamn word. That's why they have it. I'm just telling you guys, like, there is an actual legitimate reason. This is the strangest pin from a victim to these perpetrators because nobody else has this story. Do they have stories of them hanging out with the lawyer? No, like they don't have the additions of government and the lawyer thing. Because I'm sitting here going, I don't care. I almost want them to sue me so I could throw the story in the public. You know, because regardless, I will defend myself if I can't get one. I don't care. It's not a choice that if that happened, but I would totally. I'm not even bothered by that. The problem is that even regardless of that, the extension of this story goes well beyond them. And it started hitting up all these other stories. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's the bigger picture. Like, that's the bigger picture of what happened here. Yeah, and I'm the only one going at it. These victims did not come out in public and start going at these rich billionaires. I started to. I didn't even know what the hell I was going at. I'm like, this damn site, these people, you did it. blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm just calling it out as it's going, and not realizing that, the extension of this thing. But that's totally what happened. And they keep trying to disregard me and running me over, and these narcissist women up in here talking about themselves. And I'm actually trying to share with them as they have this idea about something going on. And I'm trying to fling it out there like, you don't know everything. And we're over here still trying, I'm trying to put it, get more information on it, because it wasn't this like singular thing. And it just started getting so like massive that I'm like, it's everybody. I mean, it is. You guys should see. It is literally everybody. It isn't, the story wasn't, oh, it's just this pedo camp over here and they just got a couple of, people helping them out. It was not that. It was not that. I just sit back with this. I go, it was not that. And I don't believe for a second that their team was paying off the media. I go, the media is doing it on their own, because I talked to the media and they're giving me all these excuses. It's their own personal opinion about our gender. And then in addition, they want to make money, and just there's other stuff in it. But it's not like, oh, they're paying them off, whatever. Jeffrey Epstein's over here like, let me manipulate you for a moment. I'm going to give you my version of things, and I'm going to manipulate the story, and I'm going to tell you this. Well, I guarantee you their team did that. I guarantee you $1 bazillion their team did that. Oh, we all hang out at charities. We're wonderful people. I got photos of y'all at charities. OJ was at a charity. Does that mean he's a good people? I don't want to post those pictures because I respect their family, and I think like everybody will vomit at these pictures. But I was like, yeah, because it's in that album. But I was trying to figure out the time frame of this. But yeah, they were all at the same charities. Kevin Spacey be at the charities for kids. I think it's for kids. It's kind of frightening, but I think it's for kids. The hero thing. Oh, of course, the guys got to put themselves as heroes. Yeah, and they're at political things too. And I was trying to pinpoint that political thing with the Michael Wolff. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. That starts coming around to my dad. So I asked a family member to ask another family member to find out what that tie was initially anyway, just because there was a tie, and my dad was really proud of meeting him. And that's actually the time period when he met him, I believe, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The first time I seen the picture of my dad with Ronald Reagan was in 89. That was the first time I believe I seen a picture of my dad with Ronald Reagan. Yeah, 1989. So the picture predates 1989. And he told me what it was for at the time. I just don't remember something. But I could literally swear they're standing together and he's holding an award being given to him from Ronald Reagan or something. But behind him is the flag, which it looks like in appearance, like what I think it is from the time period when he was governor. And maybe that was when my dad was, I don't know, somewhere in between that. It was in his PI office. So in his PI office, so like when the people come in to talk to my dad, like he has this like wall. It was like this shrine of like all his wonderful things on the wall. And in the middle is this picture. And I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's weird. You met him. Okay. Anyway, who cares? Like, this is me. I'm not into politics, at like 15. So it was not inside our home. He kept most of the, his private life, like involving that crap outside the home. So he had his office. So all that stuff was in his office. So we never saw that at our house. He never even mentioned it. It was weird. I don't know. But I was trying to figure out like what the deal was with that, because when the cops are haggling me for money, he's back home laughing at it. And I'm like, yeah, there's 2 shady characters in this. Well, 3, excuse me, 3. The female that I'm with, shady character 1, Shady character 2 is my dad. Shady character 3 is the celebrities. So I go, nobody in the story acted properly. Not one of these people. They're not all connected together, but neither one of them are acting proper in the situation. So why am I getting targeted? That girl's a criminal. I don't know what the hell her bullshit is. She had a lot of issues. She was drunk. We don't know what she did on this trip. Blew all her money, disappeared, did all this stuff. So we don't know what her bullshit is right now. So she's in that part of the story. The second part of the story is my dad dumped me out here with these pedophiles, the camp that is involved in this. But then they also responded to this like they were going to get away with it if I was just hanging out with them. And I'm like, yeah, like literally no one in the story is innocent. Like everybody is a suspect. I don't know what's, when you look at it like that, it's like, I don't know. Why is my dad laughing? Like there's nothing funny about somebody doing that shit to me. And then try to act like I deserved it. Well, first of all, it's against the law, which you should know. So he's suspicious. And this camp over here thinks they're going to get away with organized crime. So I'm just like, you tell me.